Hello and welcome to another edition of CSBJ Radio. I'm your host, Greg Wilson, the owner and publisher of Connection Small Business Journal. You can always find us online at www.connectmybusiness.me. Again, that's www.connectmybusiness.me. And of course, you can find us utilizing every aspect of social media. Just simply type in the @ Connect My Biz. Again, that's the @ Connect My Biz. I'm not sure if you are aware, but today, October the 10th, is World Mental Health Day. Again, October 10th, today, is World Mental Health Day. This is an event that is literally held every year on October the 10th with the overall objective of, quite honestly, just to simply raise awareness of mental health issues around the world and even mobilize efforts in the support of mental health. And today, I am very pleased to have on the phone with us now Katisha Reid. Katisha, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. So, Katisha, for those of us that are under maybe my listening audience that have not had the pleasure of meeting you, do an introduction of yourself, your background, your history, the business that you're involved in, and why I chose you today to be the guest here on CSBJ Radio.
Okay. My name is Katisha Reid. I go by Katisha or KD Reid. I am a counselor, a therapist, a freedom strategist, whatever title makes you feel comfortable. I've been in this field for about 10 years, and I've worked with a wide range of clientele from ages 3 to 73, girls, boys, adolescents, rich, poor, black, white. Mental illness, mental health knows no barriers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here today because mental health awareness is something that's very important to me. It's something I think that we as a country or we as a people, we still see it as a taboo topic, but yet it's still ever present.
Right. Why do you think that we see it still even as a taboo topic?
People don't like to be a part of they don't like to be a part of something they don't understand. So mental illness is something we still don't understand, but it's affecting us daily. I mean, 1 in 5 adults will experience a mental illness, and 1 in 25 of those will be a serious mental illness. And this is something that substantially interferes with one or more areas in their life.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that, even under, again, this event, World Mental Health Day, happens again every year. And again, the purpose behind it is to mobilize efforts in support of mental health and to bring and raise even more awareness of mental health issues. So many times, and I believe, Katisha, that we see mental health being brought to the forefront once something bad happens or once something tragic happens. And I think a lot of things, I think we have a responsibility. The small business community has a responsibility to try and avert and prevent some of these things from happening. So what are you doing even in the local efforts? I mean, I know that I did mention that you're based out of Talladega.
I am. So what I'm doing in my area is I have partnered with a nurse at Talladega College, and she and I do a lot of collaborations for the students because the college population is seeing an increase in their suicidal students.
Mm-hmm.
We have to understand these kids are coming with mental issues they may or may not have been aware of. So they're bringing anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, because they're college age. That's when a lot of people have their first schizophrenic break. So if you're putting all that on a child, I say child, but they're like 19, and they're away from home, that's just a recipe for disaster. So I'm partnering with the college that way. And also I am starting to partner with our religious organizations. My father is a pastor, so he and I have discussed mental illness and religion and how the churches need to be more of an education place, because I feel like a lot of people get their education from their church. And so I'm starting to do different things there.
Okay, good deal, good deal. One of the things that you mentioned, you talked about even the teenage population, those like first-year college students, second-year college students,
right,
and even older who experience their first, I guess, issue, if you will, if I can label it as such, at their early stage in life. Are there triggers that take place? I mean, I guess for the non-doctor on the phone, how does that take place?
A lot of times it's stress. So a lot of the people that are being referred to me, they may go to the nurse because they felt like they were having a panic attack. Mm-hmm. Well, instead of just being treated by medication or, being sent somewhere, the nurse luckily wants them to know where this is coming from. She doesn't just want to put a bandage on it. She actually wants to get underneath and see what's going on. So what I'm coming in doing is educating them, discussing their past history with them. One thing that counseling does is it allows a neutral party like myself to come in and help you connect the dots. Well, this happened to me when I was young. Okay, that explains this. Because it's very cliche, but it's so true that our childhood lays the foundation for our adulthood.
I understand. I totally understand that. For those of us that are of X amount of employees that actually works for us, are there governmental assistance programs? Are there state-funded programs, even private programs that a small business owner can tap into and offer mental health counseling as part of their services? And when I say services, specifically to their employees.
Right. If they don't offer, a lot of companies have EAP programs, and it's just good to make sure that your employees are aware of that. If not, you can always reach out to a local counselor, and they will be more than happy to come in and do, some workshops, some trainings, and even offer their services. Because mental health, if it's affecting so many Americans, you can imagine it's affecting so many businesses. Because if your employee is dealing with anxiety or depression or stress, they can't really focus on their task at work.
True.
Especially if they're in a high-stress environment at work. So if I'm at home and I'm worried about my finances, if I'm having anxiety, if it's we're about to go into the cold weather, I guess, one day soon, people get seasonal depression. So, if I have seasonal depression, but I need to meet this quota at work, but I'm thinking about this seasonal depression, or this is my first holiday season without my mother, things like that. All it would take for an employer to do is to be concerned and to see their employee as more than a number, like really get to know them, offer them mental health days, offer them a list of community resources.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of Katisha Reid, you have even been labeled as a freedom strategist. Give us just a little bit of dialogue on that title as it relates to you and your business as a freedom strategist.
Okay. I feel like that there's things in our lives, I call them roadblocks, that keep us from living our truest life, that keeps us from living a life of liberation, that keeps us from living a life of freedom. And until we address those roadblocks and work through those roadblocks, then we cannot fully be free. So as far as our mental health, I feel like we need to be as diligent about that as we are about our physical health. Mm-hmm. If you have a cough, you're going to go get it seen about. So we need to give ourselves what I like to call a checkup from the neck up.
Okay. Now, what, in terms of services that you offer, can we talk about those services, the services that you offer there in Talladega?
I offer in Talladega and the surrounding areas because I offer concierge services where I will go to the client, to the family, to the company, because that works for a lot of people. They don't have a lot of time. They don't have transportation, and they're just comfortable in their home. I offer individual services, family, couples, like I said, organizational services. I think that's the one most people don't see how a therapist or a counselor could help a company, but they could come in and do conflict resolution, They could come in and do workplace bullying. They could come in and do how to manage stress. So if you're giving your employees these tools, they're going to be more productive. And so investing that money on the front end is going to save you money on the back end.
I agree. Like I said earlier, Katisha, I truly believe that a lot of times companies get involved when something tragic happens.
Right.
But I believe the services that you're offering, workplace bullying services, those sorts of things, if done on the front end, I'm in complete agreement with you that it can we can avoid tragic situations. And even if it doesn't get to a tragic standpoint, Katisha, I believe that just the individual healing that takes place, because I believe that there are a lot of broken people out there, there are a lot of hurt people out there. Even if your hurt comes through church or whatever the case may be, there are a lot of hurt individuals out there. I can definitely see the benefit of the services that you're offering on this World Mental Health Day. So you also, and I'm not sure if you're taking the humble approach today, Katisha, but you also are. Is that what you're doing? I guess your laughter gives that away. But you also do speaking engagements.
I do. Like I said, sometimes, if someone comes out and speaks, and then my hope is that I'll say something when I'm speaking to someone, and I speak to churches, schools, like any organization. My hope is that when I speak to someone, it will, something will click and they'll feel more comfortable. So I try to be in the community so that, I'm a tangible person to them. I feel like I want my services to be preventative. I want you, like you said, to come to me before we have this big issue. So I'll say, for example, I was called to speak at Talladega College a couple months ago to their leaders, and from then, different people have called me, different sororities, fraternities. I'm going to go speak at Residential Life about conflict resolution. So my mantra is, by the time someone knows they need help, it's too late. So if I can speak to you about, and it can be anything, because in my mind, I can relate anything back to mental health, and I can relate anything back to freedom. So, if I come and speak and something clicks and one person takes a preventative measure so that we're not having to deal with a tragic incident, then it's a success for me.
Okay, I believe your phone is going out on me a little bit, Katisha. Could you repeat the last portion about the tragic incident?
Okay, I was saying if one person can find something in what I speak about, and they can seek my services as a preventative measure rather than on the back end when a tragic incident happens, then I would consider that a success.
It is, and it definitely would be a success. So in terms of the services that you offer, how can people get in contact with you?
They can find me on Facebook at I am KD Reid. There's no spaces in that. I am also on the internet at www.imkdreid.com.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier, and I just want to bring out this point. You are in the community. I mean, I met you, I don't know, it's been well over a year ago at a coffee shop in Talladega, and you and I struck up a conversation, and you told me what you did then, and you and I have been able just to stay connected, if you will, via social media, but you are definitely a point of contact for those individuals. They're locally in Talladega, Alabama, the surrounding areas I know very well: Sylacauga, Alabama, Anniston, Alabama, Oxford, Alabama, Lincoln. You're definitely the point of contact, the go-to person for everything mental health related. You are truly, as it's been alluded to earlier, a freedom strategist. I'm looking at your services. I do see that you offer the individual counseling, the family counseling. You've given the testimony of being able to speak there at Talladega College. I'm very familiar with Talladega College. I'm just excited to be able to support you in these efforts. And I truly believe that companies, if you're listening to this podcast today and you are a small business, Katie Reid Services, I encourage you to reach out to her. The organizational services that she's already talked about, the conflict resolution,